What is the highest aspiration a living being can possess? What goal stands above all others, rendering everything else trivial by comparison? The answer is simple, absolute, and undeniable: eternal life. Not mere longevity, not the extended lifespan of a cultivator who may live centuries, but still faces the inevitable end. True eternal life, absolute invincibility, total immunity to all threats, complete transcendence over the limitations that bind mortal existence. I am Fang Yuan, and for 500 years, this singular goal has driven every decision, every sacrifice, every calculated move I have made. Eternal life is not simply living forever. It is achieving a state where nothing and no one can threaten your existence. Not time itself, not space, not other beings, no matter how powerful. It is to become an entity beyond all harm, beyond all limitation, beyond even the concept of vulnerability. Many would call this impossible. Many would call it madness. But what is possibility except the boundary of imagination? And what is madness except the label applied by those too fearful to pursue what lies beyond conventional limits? I reject both these limitations. I pursue what others dare not even dream of, and I do so with calculation and clarity that transcends ordinary comprehension. Let me speak plainly about what drives lesser beings, what occupies their thoughts and consumes their brief existences: wealth, beauty, reputation, status, power in its most superficial forms. These are the pursuits of the short-sighted, the distractions of those who cannot conceive of anything greater than temporary satisfaction. What is wealth but a hoarding addiction? You accumulate resources you cannot possibly use in a single lifetime, driven by instinct rather than reason. You measure success by numbers in accounts, by possessions that will outlast your mortal shell but bring no lasting meaning. Wealth is a tool, nothing more. It serves purposes or it does not. To pursue it as an end unto itself is to miss entirely the nature of existence. And what of beauty, of romantic relationships, of the endless entanglements between men and women that consume so much human energy and attention? These too are merely primal instincts dressed in civilized clothing. Biology compelling you toward reproduction, toward connection, toward the continuation of genetic material that will forget you within generations. Is this truly worthy of your finite time and energy? Reputation, what is that except words others speak about you? Carrying the stench of bias and limited understanding, your reputation rises and falls with the tides of opinion, shaped by people who know nothing of your true nature or purpose. To care deeply about reputation is to place your self-worth in the hands of those least qualified to judge you. Status, authority, the hierarchies of power that organize societies. These too are temporary constructs, sandcastles built on beaches where the tide inevitably rises. Today's emperor is tomorrow's forgotten name. Today's dynasty is next century's archaeological curiosity. To dedicate your existence to climbing such transient ladders is to waste the most precious resource you possess: the finite time before mortality claims you. On Earth, in my previous life, there was perhaps some excuse for pursuing these shallow goals. Death was inevitable. Immortality was impossible. Therefore, people grasped at whatever temporary satisfaction they could find, knowing that nothing would last, that everything would end in darkness and decay. In such a world, perhaps the pursuit of comfort and pleasure makes a certain tragic sense. But in the Giyu world, where primordial essence saturates the air, where cultivation offers the genuine possibility of transcending mortal limitations, why would any rational being settle for such pitiful goals? Given the real possibility of achieving something infinitely greater, why would you waste your existence on trivialities? For the sake of eternal life, I can make use of wealth, beauty, reputation, and status. These become tools in my arsenal, resources to be leveraged toward my ultimate purpose. but I can also discard them without hesitation when they cease to serve that purpose. They are means, never ends. This distinction separates those who truly understand existence from those who drift through it in comfortable delusion. Consider what I am willing to endure, what I am willing to sacrifice, what I am willing to become in pursuit of this supreme goal. Fear cannot stop me. When others retreat in terror from dangers that threaten their lives, I charge forward relentlessly because I understand that avoiding temporary danger only guarantees permanent mediocrity. True safety comes not from avoiding risk, but from achieving a state where risk itself becomes irrelevant. Laziness will not stop me. I will never slack for even a moment. While others rest on their accomplishments, satisfied with partial progress, I push forward with the same intensity whether I am winning or losing, whether circumstances favor me or oppose me. There is no finish line until the ultimate goal is achieved. Everything before that is merely another step on an infinite staircase. Pain cannot stop me. Physical agony, emotional torment, the 1,000 cuts of hardship that break lesser beings, these are merely sensations to be noted and moved past. Pain is information. It tells you where your body's limits currently lie. But limits exist to be transcended, and pain is often the price of that transcendence. Pay the price without complaint. Gods cannot stop me. Demons cannot stop me. Even heaven and earth themselves cannot prevent me from pursuing what I have chosen to pursue. This is not arrogance, but clarity. When you have decided what matters above all else, when you have committed absolutely to a chosen path, then no external force holds authority over your will. They can oppose you, they can make the journey harder, but they cannot make you surrender unless you choose to. As I affirm this belief, as I feel this truth burning within me, my eyes seem to glow with demonic fire. This is the intensity that marks those who have found their true purpose and committed to it without reservation. This is what separates the exceptional from the ordinary. Not talent, not resources, not fortune, but absolute clarity combined with unyielding commitment. Now, let me address a concept that confuses many: the nature of the noble man. In conventional philosophy, nobility is tied to virtue, to honor, to self-sacrifice for others' benefit. But this is the morality of the weak, designed to make their weakness feel virtuous. True nobility lies elsewhere entirely. A noble man is not a slave to external matters. He remains aloof from the world, forgetting gains and losses in the petty sense that others obsess over. This does not mean indifference or lack of engagement. It means operating from a different level of consciousness, one where temporary fluctuations in fortune do not disturb inner equilibrium. The word aloof carries important meaning. This is not cold detachment born of inability to feel, but conscious elevation above the distractions that govern ordinary lives. When others panic over losses or celebrate gains, the noble man remains steady because he measures success and failure by different metrics, entirely metrics that operate on scales of years or decades or centuries rather than days. This aligns superficially with certain ancient philosophies. Stoicism, for instance, emphasizes emotional control and rationality in the face of changing circumstances. But where Stoicism often encourages virtue for the greater good, my philosophy recognizes no greater good except one's own chosen purpose. The noble man serves only his own will, not society's comfort. From a psychological standpoint, this detachment provides immense advantages. When you are not emotionally invested in temporary outcomes, you can make clearer decisions. When losses do not devastate you and victories do not intoxicate you, you maintain consistent performance regardless of circumstances. This emotional stability is not weakness, but supreme strength. Consider how most people live, constantly buffeted by circumstances, their moods and decisions shaped by external events beyond their control. Good fortune makes them careless and arrogant. Bad fortune makes them desperate and reckless. They are leaves in the wind, never masters of their own state. The noble man stands like a mountain while storms rage around him. He chooses his responses rather than reacting unconsciously. This is the essence of true freedom, not the absence of constraints, but the presence of complete self-mastery that renders external constraints irrelevant. To achieve this state requires radical pragmatism in all things. Every decision must be evaluated by a single standard. Does this advance me toward my ultimate goal? Not, is this morally right by conventional standards? Not, what will others think of me? Simply, does this serve my purpose or not? This pragmatism appears cold to those raised on fairy tales of inherent good and evil. But good and evil are human constructs, labels applied to actions based on whether they benefit or harm the labeler. They have no objective existence. To organize your life around such fictions is to chain yourself to the limitations of others' thinking. I acknowledge my amorality without shame or rationalization. I am a demon by conventional standards. Very well. Demons do not need reasons to act. We simply do as we please, guided by our own standards rather than inherited limitations. This acceptance eliminates the cognitive dissonance that plagues those who do terrible things while desperately trying to believe they are good people. I do not consider myself good. I do not consider myself good. I do not consider myself evil. I simply am, and I act according to my nature and purpose. This clarity is liberating in ways those imprisoned by conventional morality cannot comprehend. When you are not constantly justifying yourself to some internalized judge, you are free to act with perfect efficiency. This brings us to an important truth about identity and authenticity. Most people are not truly themselves. They are composites of others' expectations, mosaics of masks they have worn so long they mistake them for their true face. They think what they were taught to think. They want what they were told to want. They live according to scripts written by parents, teachers, society at large. I too wear masks, but I wear them consciously. Humility, arrogance, warmth, coldness. These are costumes I adopt when beneficial and discard when unnecessary. The difference is awareness. I know these are performances, tools to manipulate others' perceptions. I never mistake the mask for the face beneath. This mastery of personas requires deep understanding of human psychology. Most people respond predictably to certain signals. Display humility and they trust you. Display confidence and they follow you. Display vulnerability, and they wish to protect you. These responses are automatic, instinctive. By consciously triggering them, I shape others' behavior toward my purposes. But beneath all masks lies my authentic self, singular in focus, unwavering in purpose, absolutely committed to the pursuit of eternal life. This core remains constant regardless of which face I show the world. This is true authenticity, knowing yourself completely while adapting your external presentation as strategy demands. Most people have this reversed. They present a consistent external image while remaining internally confused about their true nature and desires. This is the worst possible combination. Rigid on the surface where flexibility serves best, and chaotic inside where clarity is most needed. Be absolutely clear on who you are and what you pursue. Then be completely flexible in how you present yourself to others. This is the path to both authenticity and effectiveness. Let me now address the concept of hope, which occupies such prominence in human thinking, yet reveals fundamental confusion about the nature of existence. There is an ancient legend in the GU world about Hope GU, one of the legendary GU insects that shaped early history. In this legend, the primordial ancestor faced terrible predicaments that threatened his existence. Strength could not save him. Wisdom could not save him. But when he gave his heart to Hope Gu, it blazed with such brilliant light that the predicaments themselves fled in terror, for predicaments fear hope above all else. This story is told as inspiration, as encouragement to maintain hope even in desperate circumstances, and for ordinary people, perhaps this serves a purpose. Hope keeps them moving forward when rational calculation suggests surrender. Hope provides comfort when reality offers none, but I reject conventional hope entirely. Why? Because hope without concrete action is mere illusion. Hoping for a better outcome while doing nothing to create it is no different from waiting for fate's mercy, and I despise the very concept of fate. To me, hope in the traditional sense represents passivity dressed as virtue. It is the consolation prize of those too weak to seize what they desire. I hope things improve. I hope circumstances change. I hope someone saves me. This is the language of victims, not masters. My version of hope, if we must use that word, is radically different. I do not hope to achieve eternal life. I scheme for it. I adapt strategies toward it. I fight relentlessly to make it inevitable. My hope is not internal comfort that helps me endure suffering, but external action that eliminates the causes of suffering. This represents a fundamental philosophical divide. The legend of Renzu, the primordial ancestor, suggests that hope is about enduring suffering, about continuing despite pain. My philosophy holds that the ultimate strength lies not in enduring suffering, but in eliminating it entirely. Not acceptance, but transformation. This mirrors certain existentialist positions. Camus wrote of finding meaning not in escaping suffering, but in facing it head-on, in continuing the absurd struggle despite its futility. Sisyphus pushing his boulder uphill for eternity, finding meaning in the push itself rather than any outcome. I respect this position more than passive hope, but I still reject it. Why accept eternal struggle when you might transcend the conditions that create struggle? Why find meaning in suffering when you might achieve a state where suffering becomes impossible? My philosophy aligns more closely with Nietzsche, his concept of will to power. Existence is a battlefield. Survival depends not on endurance, but on domination, not on accepting your fate, but on creating it through sheer force of will. Not on finding meaning in suffering, but on accumulating enough power that suffering becomes a choice rather than an imposition. Yet here lies an intriguing irony in my relentless pursuit of eternal life, despite overwhelming odds, in my refusal to surrender. Even when circumstances suggest impossibility, I embody a paradoxical form of hope. Not passive hope that waits for salvation, but active hope that creates the conditions for victory. The difference is crucial. Traditional hope says, perhaps fate will smile upon me. Active hope says, I will bend circumstances to my will until victory becomes inevitable. One is prayer, the other is strategy. So what does hope truly represent? It is the final refuge of those who have nothing left. It is the force that keeps people moving forward when all logic suggests they should give up. In this sense, hope serves a genuine function. It prevents premature surrender, maintaining effort even when immediate prospects appear hopeless. But hope alone creates nothing. This is where my philosophy diverges most sharply from conventional thinking. The legends of Renzu portray hope as essential to survival, but Reverend insanity as a whole presents a deeper question: is hope enough? Hope must be combined with action, with strategy, with willingness to sacrifice and endure. Hope without these elements is just fantasy, but action combined with strategic thinking and refusal to surrender, this is what actually produces results. People often ask what drives me forward after 500 years. How do I maintain intensity and focus across centuries when most people cannot maintain it across years? The answer lies in understanding the true nature of time and how it relates to purpose. Time is the universe's most fundamental constraint. Unlike other resources, time cannot be stored or saved. It flows constantly, indifferent to your wishes. Each moment that passes is gone forever, irretrievable and irreplaceable. This makes time infinitely precious, and most people waste vast quantities of it. They waste time on entertainment, that leaves nothing of value. On social obligations they don't truly care about. On worries over things they cannot control. On pursuits they don't genuinely value but feel pressured to engage with. Then they wonder why their lives feel empty and their goals remain distant. I waste nothing. Every action, every decision, every relationship is evaluated according to a single criterion. Does this advance me toward eternal life? If yes, I engage. If no, I discard it without a second thought. This ruthless efficiency compounds over time into insurmountable advantages. Imagine two cultivators of equal talent, starting at the same point. One pursues his goal with single-minded determination, eliminating all distractions. The other divides his attention among many pursuits, never fully committing to any. After 10 years, the first has made substantial progress, while the second has scattered achievements in many areas, but mastery in none. After 100 years, the gap becomes immense. After 500 years, they inhabit entirely different levels of existence. This is not because of differing talent, but because of differing focus and ruthless elimination of waste. Most people instinctively resist this level of focus. They want balance, variety, the comfort of pursuing multiple goals. But this is delusion. Meaningful achievement in any domain requires concentration of effort over extended periods. You cannot achieve greatness in 10 different areas. You must choose one supreme goal and organize everything else around it. For me, that goal is eternal life. Everything else, wealth, relationships, reputation, even conventional cultivation advancement, becomes subordinate to this single purpose. When any of these serve my ultimate goal, I pursue them intensely. When they don't, I discard them without hesitation or regret. This appears cold to those who measure life by different standards. They accumulate friends and family, build careers and reputations, pursue comfort and pleasure. Then they die. And within generations they are completely forgotten. Everything they built dissolves, as if they never existed. I reject this fate absolutely. I will not be forgotten because I will not die. I will not fade into history because I will transcend history itself. This is not arrogance but statement of intent backed by 500 years of consistent action toward this single goal. People speak of balance as if it were inherently virtuous. You must balance work and leisure, ambition and contentment, self-interest and social obligation. But balance is just another word for mediocrity. By distributing effort across many domains, you ensure excellence in none. The path to transcendence requires imbalanced radical commitment to one supreme goal at the expense of everything else. This is uncomfortable, unnatural even. Human psychology evolved for survival in small tribal groups, not for the pursuit of eternal life. Your instincts will constantly pull you toward activities evolution programmed you to value. Override those instincts. Your biology was designed for reproduction and survival in primitive conditions. Those programs do not serve you in pursuit of goals far beyond what evolution could have anticipated. You must consciously reprogram yourself, establishing new priorities that override inherited ones. This is difficult beyond what most can imagine. Your emotions will rebel. Your social instincts will create discomfort. Your body will demand pleasures and comforts that distract from your purpose. You must become master of all these rebellious elements, forcing them to serve purposes they were not designed for. I have spent 500 years perfecting this self-mastery. Every instinct, every emotion, every impulse has been catalogued, understood, and either harnessed toward my purpose or suppressed entirely. I am not controlled by my nature. I control it, wielding my own biology as a tool rather than being wielded by it. This level of self-mastery is what separates true cultivators from those who merely dabble in cultivation while remaining slaves to their base programming. Conventional morality serves the species at the expense of the individual. Social norms prioritize group cohesion over individual excellence. These evolved for good evolutionary reasons, but they constrain those who would transcend normal human limitations. Reject these constraints consciously and completely. You are not obligated to serve purposes evolution or society have chosen for you. You can choose your own purpose and pursue it with absolute commitment. This is what it means to be truly free, not absence of constraints, but conscious choice of which constraints you will accept. For me, the only constraint I accept is the constraint of my own chosen purpose. Everything else is negotiable, alterable, disposable. This gives me flexibility that seems like ruthlessness to those who cannot distinguish between commitment to purpose and attachment to methods. I have no attachment to any particular method. If one approach fails, I immediately try another. If an ally becomes a liability, I discard them without sentiment. If a strategy proves counterproductive, I abandon it without sunk cost fallacy delaying my pivot. This flexibility with an unwavering commitment to ultimate purpose is the key to my endurance. Most people have this precisely backward. They are flexible about their ultimate goals. If one dream fails, they adopt another, but they become rigidly attached to particular methods, relationships, identities. I am a loyal friend. I am an honest person. I keep my promises. These become chains that prevent them from adapting when adaptation is required. Invert this entirely. Be absolutely inflexible about your ultimate purpose. Let nothing shake your commitment to your chosen goal, but be completely flexible about everything else. Methods, relationships, identity, morality. All of these are tools to be used as circumstances demand. This is what I mean by wearing masks consciously. I can present as humble when humility serves my purpose. I can present as arrogant when arrogance proves more useful. I can form alliances and break them, show mercy and show ruthlessness, all without internal conflict because I never mistake the tool for the purpose. The mask is never the face. The method is never the goal. This clarity eliminates the cognitive dissonance that plagues those who try to maintain consistent external identity while pursuing goals that require contradictory behaviors. They tie themselves in knots, trying to be good people while doing what success actually requires. I avoid this entirely by rejecting the concept of being a good person as a goal. My goal is eternal life. Sometimes achieving this requires behaviors others label as good. Sometimes it requires behaviors they label as evil. These labels are irrelevant to me. I simply do what serves my purpose and accept whatever labels others wish to apply. This moral clarity is liberating beyond what those imprisoned by conventional ethics can comprehend. When you are not constantly justifying yourself to some internalized moral judge, when you are not worried about maintaining some fiction of being a good person, you are free to act with perfect efficiency according to your actual values and goals. Does this make me a monster? By conventional standards, certainly, I have killed countless people. I have betrayed allies and destroyed enemies. I have committed acts that would earn universal condemnation in any society governed by conventional morality. But conventional morality is designed for normal people pursuing normal goals within stable social structures. It was never designed for someone pursuing goals as radical as eternal life. To judge my actions by standards designed for entirely different circumstances is category error. The relevant question is not, would normal morality approve, but do my actions serve my purpose? By this standard, every significant decision I have made has been correct. I have survived 500 years in a world where most cultivators die violently long before achieving even basic immortality. This alone validates my approach. Some argue that such a philosophy leads inevitably to self-destruction, that complete selfishness and amorality eventually creates so many enemies that downfall becomes inevitable. This is theoretically reasonable, but empirically false. I am living proof that such a path can be maintained successfully across centuries. The key is strategic thinking combined with overwhelming competence. I do not create enemies carelessly. Every conflict I engage in serves some purpose. Many potential enemies are neutralized through manipulation or misdirection long before they become actual threats. And when I do face enemies, I face them with 500 years of accumulated skill and knowledge. Most people who try to emulate my approach fail because they mistake ruthlessness for strategy. They betray allies pointlessly, creating enemies for no gain. They pursue short-term advantages that create long-term vulnerabilities. They act impulsively rather than strategically. True amorality combined with strategic brilliance is far more effective than either conventional morality or impulsive selfishness. I am neither good nor evil, but I am supremely effective. And effectiveness is the only standard that matters in pursuit of transcendent goals. Let me now address a question that often arises. What is the point? If you sacrifice everything else in pursuit of eternal life, if you become a being without normal relationships or pleasures, what value does eternal existence hold? This question reveals fundamental misunderstanding of what drives certain types of individuals. For most people, happiness comes from relationships, from comfortable routines, from social validation. These people cannot conceive of a life organized around anything else. But some individuals are different. We are driven not by comfort or connection, but by challenge and achievement. Reaching a goal others consider impossible brings satisfaction far deeper than any relationship or pleasure. The process of overcoming obstacles, of growing stronger, of bending reality toward our vision. This is what gives existence meaning. To me, achieving eternal life is not a means to some other end, like eternal pleasure or comfort. The achievement itself is the point. Proving that what everyone considers impossible can be accomplished through sufficient will and skill. This is the ultimate validation of existence. And beyond that, eternal life opens infinite possibilities. With unlimited time, I can pursue understanding and mastery across all domains. With true invincibility, I can explore without fear of consequences. With transcendence over normal limitations, I can shape reality according to my vision rather than being shaped by it. This is the ultimate freedom, not just living forever, but becoming a being for whom all constraints have become choices. Death, impossible; defeat, impossible; limitation, transcended. This is a goal worthy of any sacrifice, any hardship, any cost. Those who pursue conventional happiness within conventional limitations cannot understand this. They measure life by entirely different standards. And that is fine. Most people should pursue normal lives. The world needs farmers and merchants and families. But it also needs pioneers who push beyond all known boundaries, who prove that transcendence is possible. I am such a pioneer. 500 years ago, I chose this path knowing it would require sacrifices beyond what most could endure. I chose it knowing I would be misunderstood, hated, feared. I chose it knowing that success might take centuries or millennia, and I would make the same choice again without hesitation. This path is difficult beyond measure, lonely beyond description, demanding beyond what words can convey. But it is the only path worthy of my existence. Everything else is trivial by comparison. As this night deepens and these words continue to flow, I want to emphasize something crucial for those who would walk similar paths. Clarity of vision is everything. If you do not know with absolute certainty what you pursue and why, you will not endure the hardships required to achieve it. Most people's goals are vague and conditional. I want to be successful, but not if it requires too much sacrifice. I want to be strong, but not if it requires giving up comfort. I want to achieve great things, but not if it makes people dislike me. These conditional goals ensure conditional results at best. To achieve something truly extraordinary, your commitment must be absolute and unconditional. I will achieve this goal regardless of cost, regardless of hardship, regardless of what others think, regardless of how long it takes. Only this level of commitment generates the sustained effort required for transcendent achievement. I committed absolutely to eternal life 500 years ago. This commitment has never wavered through countless defeats, betrayals, near-death experiences, and setbacks. It remains as strong today as the moment I first conceived it. This consistency is what separates those who achieve impossible goals from those who merely dream of them. Ask yourself honestly, what are you truly committed to? Not what you hope for or wish for, but what you would sacrifice anything else to achieve. If your answer is nothing, you will achieve nothing of lasting significance. This is not cruelty, but truth. The universe does not reward half measures or conditional commitment. It elevates only those who stake everything on their chosen path and accept all consequences. This is the fundamental law of achievement that transcends all cultivation systems and philosophies. You must choose your supreme goal, then organize your entire existence around it. Everything else becomes subordinate: friends, family, comfort, morality, reputation. All of these serve your goal or they do not. Those that serve it you maintain. Those that don't, you discard without sentiment. This sounds harsh to those raised on fairy tales of balance and having it all. But balance is mediocrity by another name. Greatness requires imbalanced radical commitment to one supreme purpose at the expense of everything else that might dilute focus or drain resources. I have lived this truth for 500 years. I have sacrificed everything most people consider essential to meaningful existence, and I would not trade a moment of my journey for all the comfortable, balanced, mediocre lives in the world combined. This is the path of Fang Yuan: absolute clarity, unwavering commitment, strategic brilliance combined with tactical flexibility, and refusal to surrender regardless of circumstances. It is not a path for most people. It should not be. But for those rare individuals driven by goals that transcend normal human concerns, it is the only path worth walking. As dawn approaches and this long discourse draws toward its close, I leave you with this final truth. Your life is yours to shape. You can accept conventional limitations and pursue conventional goals, living comfortably within boundaries established by others. Or you can choose your own supreme purpose and pursue it with totality that transcends normal human commitment. The first path is easier, safer, more socially acceptable. Most people choose it and die forgotten within generations. The second path demands everything you have and promises nothing except the possibility of transcending all normal limitations. Few choose it, and fewer still persist through the decades of hardship required. But those who do persist, who maintain absolute commitment through all obstacles, we are the ones who reshape reality itself. We are the ones who prove that transcendence is possible. We are the pioneers who expand what existence means. I am Fang Yuan. I have walked this path for 500 years and will walk it for 500 more, if necessary. The road ahead remains long. The obstacles remain formidable, but my commitment remains absolute. Choose your own path wisely, commit absolutely, accept all consequences, and never surrender to the limitations others accept as inevitable. Eternal life awaits those with sufficient will to seize it.